There you go. Good. Right. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We are missing a few players who should be here, but anyway, maybe, as I say, they didn't switch on properly this morning, or they haven't booted up, or maybe they just got booted out. I don't know. But we're talking about chips in your heads, I think, this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Why does this thing keep on changing? Okay, there you go. I have to look it up myself because I can't just toss it over to Lee and make her get the thing going here. So we talked of chips and pizza and chips and tomato sauce. So we're going to talk about microchips being implanted in our brains. Okay, so hopefully none of you are at that stage quite yet. Question is, would you want to be there? Do you want to go there? How would you feel about having some form of neural implant? So Laura, seeing you the doctor amongst us, we're just going to have to start with you this morning. So over to you.
Chips in the who said they're not already there?
Well, yeah, depends on whether or not that you believe the Matrix is a documentary or a science fiction.
Right. And who says we're not being manipulated by the puppet master already?
Well, we absolutely are. You know, I mean, what do you think I'm doing now? I'm just sorting you out.
You're the puppet, me the master, and we're all puppets. I think I won't take Piggy. Is that one that's got the long? Anyway, she's like the Muppets. Okay. I think she's like a Rastafarian or something. Anyway, chips. First, I thought you meant potato chips, and then I thought you said trips, mental trips, because I'll trip over my brain all the time. I mean, I'll trip over my words, my thoughts, and then I'll lose my place. I guess if I had a chip, then any behavior that I am engaged in, anything that I do, it's not my responsibility. So why not just have a free for all? And then I can say, well, I didn't do it. Someone told me to do it. I just knew it was the right thing. Well, would I want it? Nah, I don't know any different. So I'd say I'd rather, at least I think I have free will. Or maybe that's part of the chip telling me that I have free will. I think about drones. Actually, I have a drone, and it's a small model, and they're following me around. Do I want to be hyper vigilant and like sit on this, or even just sit on the side of the fence and say, "Oh, I wish I had it that way." And the grass is always greener on the other side. So, in regard to chips, I'll take some fish with that. I'm done. Hi, my name's Laura. I'm done.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah. Have some fish with your chips in your brain. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like it could get a bit complicated in there. So Tabiso, you're the youngster. Yeah, you know, what do you think about all this fancy technology? I mean, you know.
Okay, I think that I'm a bit 50-50 when it comes to brain chips, you know, because I understand that they can actually enhance life, you know. They can actually assist with Alzheimer's disease, PTSD, and that's post-traumatic stress disorder. And, you know, they can also assist with other mental illnesses, you know. I know that chips can actually make you, you know, cognitively smarter and physically stronger, you know. So I guess in that sense, I understand. They can make you better, they can enhance life, you know. But who holds the data over my brain, you know? That's the thing. And you know, these big companies, they can't really be trusted, you know, because they have this flawed morality. We see with companies like Facebook and Google, no, you can't trust those guys. Like we saw that with Facebook with the whole Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica case. Something
Analytica,
like that. Analytica. Yes, we saw that, and now, you know, these guys, they just leak out, you know, our data, and like my cell phone knows me better than I know myself, and we know that these guys are constantly spying on us, you know. So how do I know if my data is safe? I think that's the question. Will they like press buttons and make me go crazy when I have this thing implanted in my head? Will they intrude on my personal privacy? It's this brain chips thing, man, it's difficult because will they control my thoughts? Are my thoughts, intellectual property, So I think there's this dilemma, moral dilemma, that we have to contemplate before we actually entertain these ideas. I'll give you a moral dilemma. Let's say you're opposed to this brain chips, thing for your kid, but at school, everyone has them, and the kids in school are like smarter, they're like stronger, they're like everything that your kid isn't. So what do you do as a parent? Do you like implant the brain chip on his head, even though you're like totally opposed to it? What do you do, because I think that ethically you're very wrong if you don't do that, because you're not giving your child a fair chance at life, because all his peers are like super strong, super smart, super everything, So I think that morality is a big thing when it comes to this, and privacy too. Like my data, man, my data. I don't think I would put in, a brain chip on my head unless if like death is like totally on my door, if like, man, I need this thing. I need this thing to survive, And then I think that I'd actually contemplate and I'd actually maybe consider it, but I wouldn't put a brain chip on my head because Elon Musk says so. Let him put in one, let him do that, not me, I like my privacy too much. I appreciate that, I need sometimes to just not know what people, know about me. I don't need that. Sometimes I just need to be silent and nobody has to know anything, I just want to be quiet and just enjoy my peace, And this brain chips thing, I don't think that it allows for that, because it is an attempt to control. That's how I see it, with RFID chips or whatever they are with head chips, nah, nah, not for me. So I think I'll just end it there for today. Thank you,
All right.
Ivan.
Good. Thanks, Tabisa.
Can
Right.
I add something quickly? I
Sorry?
forgot something before. Can I just add something quickly? I think that if like you need something to actually assist, with Alzheimer's disease and PTSD, I think there's other alternatives, Um, when I said that I'm 50-50, I'm really not 50-50. I think I'm like 95 to 5%. I don't agree with brain chips. I think that there's other alternatives, like you can actually try out psychedelics, psychedelic drugs. I think they assist when it comes to, the mind and all that. Research, of course, is still being, the guys are still working hard, but there's this data with ayahuasca and psilocybin mushrooms, they can assist cognitively and they can actually rewire your neural networks, and they can assist with diseases like PTSD, and I think they can even assist with Alzheimer's disease and other mental illnesses, So I think that's an alternative to brain chips. Now I'm done. Thank you, Ivan.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Tobias. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think magic mushrooms for breakfast are a far better idea, but it seems like somebody switched off Laura's chip. So she's gone. So Ed, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm far more relaxed about the whole chip stuff and Neurolink, what Elon Musk is doing, because I see it as just a natural extension of something. A friend of mine, well, not a friend, but someone I know, lost both his arms in a mine explosion in Mozambique. And he has false arms and false hands, and he operates them by the device picking up the electronic impulses in his shoulders. So it's his body sending out signals, the mechanics pick it up, and he can have hands that work. And I think, you know, the whole Neurolink thing is just an extension of that. And I think, you know, the problem comes perhaps when the military think, oh, that's interesting, wonder what we can use that for. But to be so hit on the key point, I think, and that's there are other alternatives. And he mentioned, and Lee mentioned it yesterday, Alzheimer's. Now, I don't know much about Alzheimer's. So I went and did a little bit of research, and I'm putting a bit of a Trevor here. And the main risk factors for Alzheimer's are smoking, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and excess alcohol consumption. And then following behind those, and less well proven, but there's still plenty of evidence, is living close to a main road because of air pollution, high cholesterol levels, and a thing called oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is mainly caused by chronic inflammation. It's when we're stressed all the time and there's no chance for the body to catch up. And the flip side of that is for prevention, it's don't smoke, pretty obvious, be active and exercise regularly, maintain a healthy weight, eat a healthy diet with lots of fruit and vegetables, keep your cholesterol and blood pressure under control, and drink less than 14 units a day. And on the oxidative stress, I've been researching intermittent fasting. And it would appear that there's some evidence emerging that intermittent fasting can reduce oxidative stress, because the conclusion is that with our current eating patterns, our gut is full all the time. And it's busy processing food, and it doesn't have time to repair itself and do its maintenance and stuff like that. So if you give it a 12-hour period where it's not having to digest food, it has a chance to catch up. And of course, the gut is very closely involved with the immune system. What's interesting is I could only find 2 really good pieces of research around intermittent fasting, gut and gut health. One was published in the New England Journal in the end of 2019, and one was in some trials done by, some research done by the Sinai Institute in New York, which is a big medical research thing in New York. But interesting enough, it says that there's a lack of robust clinical trials. And they're the gold standard of research. So it's really interesting, isn't it, that there's some very simple things we can do to mitigate our risks of Alzheimer's. You know, get a bit of exercise, eat some fruit and veg, and maybe fast for 12 hours. Now, why are we not researching that and doing that and implementing that? There's one quite easy, well, two reasons. One, it's not very sexy. Sticking a chip in your brain's a lot more sexy than taking a bit of exercise and eating an apple. Probably be good for South Africa, actually, because you export a lot of fruit. And there's no money in it. There's no money in saying, oh, you know, get a bit of exercise and eat your fruit and veg. So we kind of go for these weird and wonderful solutions, like, because he's also got this thing called LACE, which I think is a network that goes in the brain or something. I was doing a little bit of research on Neurolink, but we go for these sexy high-tech solutions when the key is don't be stupid. You know, obesity is rife in the US. Obesity is rife in the UK. And it is one of the higher indicators of getting Alzheimer's. Don't have a chip put in your brain to cure your Alzheimer's. Stop stuffing yourself with burgers. So that's my thought on microchips. I've got nothing against them. I just think we're going to the ultimate solution before we try the pretty normal stuff like getting a bit of exercise and eating a banana.
Great, thanks, Ed. Well, I think we better go across to our fruit export in the group, and that's Trevor. So yeah,
So I'm just wondering what it's going to do to the Olympics, for goodness sake. Are we going to have a bionics Olympics or chip Olympics, or what are we going to do there? And this sort of reminds me back to, it takes me back to the days, because of being involved in sporting codes, where steroids and all of that came into play, and it became illegal. You know, these things are designed to give some, the privileged few, advantages over those that can't afford the technologies and all that sort of thing. And I'm just wondering, I sometimes have this thought that I wish we had a world with no rules at all, so that we then recognize that everyone else out there is trying to get an advantage over me. And what I've got to do is make certain that I take the decision for myself as to what it is I want to do to outpace, outcompete, outsmart, and all those sort of things. Meaning, and I'm just going to go off at a little tangent, just like Ed and Jasper do on a regular basis here. For me, if we never had any restrictions on people who steal and theft and regulations on the JSE, then all of us would actually turn around and say, you know, beware, because these people are potentially going to rip me off, because that's what I can see. And we will protect ourselves against being ripped off as best as we can. And I think we would do a lot better job than what our governments, politicians, regulators, and all of that do, because despite all the regulation in the world, we're still getting ripped off left, right, and center. So why not get rid of all of that? And then that puts paid to my concerns about people with chips in their heads, just like Tabiso. He's clearly got one in his head, because he's a lot smarter than I am. I thought I was coming here to talk about pizzas and chips and tomato sauce this morning, and he took me down a road that I didn't even consider. I just want to borrow his chip because he's definitely got an advantage over me at the moment. But you know what? It seriously brings to mind that we are a nanny, well, not nanny state, we're a nanny earth, for goodness sake. We're being overregulated by idiots that are only overregulating us for the advantage that they can actually get. So how's that for a conspiracy theorist? Get rid of all regulation, all politicians, anyone that is wanting to get new rules and morals in place. And I know how to deal with everyone. I don't trust any one of you at all. And I make certain that I protect myself in this lunatic world. Now, back to wisdoms and working on the good things on the planet. Right. Have you made sense of any of that?
we were supposed to.
Oh.
I don't know. So where are you going? Are you going back to the topic, or are you carrying on? Are you finished? I'm not too sure where you're going.
I don't even know what the topic was.
The chip implants in your brain.
No, I thought it was CHIPS, California Highway Patrol. What I used to watch some 20, 30 years ago. That's as far as I got. You see, Ed and I, we're on the same brain. Obviously, we got chips. And you know what worries me about chips in my head? Can you remember the first ever cell phones that came out? Imagine if they bring you a chip the size of a brick to try and, that's what they'd try and do with us, Ed. They'd try and implant one of those things that would stick out on our heads like this, just to see if it works. And then what about the electromagnetic waves that are right next to your brain? Oh my goodness, there's conspiracies. I'm over this.
You'll just have to swap your 20X head for a tinfoil one, and you'll be fine.
They were called dealy boppers, I think.
All right, Jasper, come on. I'm sure you can take this one somewhere. Yeah, end times, perhaps. I don't know.
Right, morning. I think you're not going to stop technology, and it's you know, I get sent these little videos on the progress on robotics, and I just find it amazing what they can already make robots do with running and spinning and jumping and doing somersaults. And so if you then add the ability to scale things right down to nanotechnology level, and you then, you know, whether it's chips in your brain or whether they send little capsules, nano capsules of targeted medicine to your cells to destroy cancer and stuff like that, you're not going to stop the thinking along the lines now that technology has opened up to people. So the problem is now, is it good or is it bad, or how do I feel about it? Will I do it to myself? And I can't say a clear yes or a clear no. I can imagine if I'm blind and my eyesight is just going downhill, and there's a technology that can help restore the brain signals to my brain and improve my eyesight, I might be an experiment. The same with hearing. You know, and I know that people with cognitive implants and stuff like that, it has enhanced their lives. And if you can get it to a point where you can almost simulate the process of hearing through little, what do you call it? You know, in the end, the chip is just a way of programming neurons, then it would be good. I can think people who are paralyzed, if you can find a way to stimulate their neural systems to start getting energy back to the legs and the arms, that's okay. I think our challenge comes when it comes to our brain. When we say, but okay, that's so my body, I'm happy to, it's just a tent, you know, it just make me able to get things done. But when it comes to my brain, which defines who I am, my soul, my thinking, so then it becomes a challenge. And then I think like Tabiso and Trevor and all of us, none of us want to feel I lose control of my input. So I can choose to have bad input, and that's fine, but I don't want other people the blank check to just open up portals to my brain, and I don't trust them. I think the big thing here is the trust factor. So, and I think I'm not really sure where Elon Musk is trying to go with his brain implant, but they already got success with, you know, almost manipulating or controlling the behavior of those little mice in certain ways by what they do. So I think the big challenge here is our distrust of what is your agenda with what you want to create here. And if it's above board and it's transparent and it can't be hijacked and manipulated, I don't think there's a problem. But I can see that a lot of people will want to have the ability to become, you know, to create superhumans that they can then control and do all sorts of things on. In terms of Trevor's frustration with the way the world works and having totally incompetent people in charge, I read the book. It didn't read easily, but I liked the whole message in that book, and that Atlas Shrugged from Anne Ryan. And it typically explained just the thinking that has pervaded now the whole earth in terms of mediocrity is okay. And you can be most mediocre, but somehow piggyback on other people's abilities. He's now the king in society. And I think that's our frustration. Is so my problem with Trevor's cry for a world without rules is the moment there's a world without rules, in order to organize the world around us, we will have to start making rules. And then it's back to my rules versus your rules. So there's only one golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. So I think I'd rather then focus on becoming find a way to get the gold, so that I can help structure my own micro society within the bigger society, and then let them do what they want to do. Yeah, so I think that's all I can contribute to this very weighty topic.
Right, thanks so much, Jasper. Yeah, it's an interesting one. You know, the thing that I find a challenge, I suppose, is, you know, there have been amazing advances in prosthetics and helping people with various physical and even mental challenges, and those all appear to be really good things. You know, when you start doing it for the sake of simply trying to gain a competitive advantage, then, you know, then it becomes, you know, very self-serving rather than you know, just solving a problem that you've got. But beyond that, you know, I was listening to some of this stuff a little while back, and you know, one of the challenges we have with the human brain, as an amazing creation and device that it is it still functions in a linear fashion, pretty much. And we have certain capacity limits and abilities to absorb and digest information. And I think what we're seeing today with this sort of absolute explosion in information that's available to us, and all these things that you can follow and watch and listen to and get all these feeds, is that you get into a situation where you've got data overwhelm, and stuff just starts going straight past you. You stop seeing it because there's just too much coming at you. Now you want to plug a device into your brain that actually increases the speed with which things are coming into your head. I think you're going to get into a situation very, very fast where you get overload, and your brain just says, I've had enough, I'm checking out of here. You know, this high volume input is not functional. So therefore I need to switch off. You know, and I think you see that with people already, just, you know, with their cell phone devices in their hands. You know, they start doing really stupid things, and like driving down the road looking at their cell phones, you know, driving down the road texting, you know, and you see it all the time, and it's stupidity, but you've got this disconnect. And that would be my real concern, is putting a neural implant that allows you to connect directly to the internet, that tries to enhance intelligence or strength or speed or something like that. I don't think we're at an evolutionary point in human development where our systems will actually cope with that high level of input. And if you get something slightly wrong in that mechanism, you're just going to blow fuses left, right, and center. And I don't think those fuses can be replaced, you know, from a human perspective. So I think you're going to wind up with a whole lot of real crazies or zombies floating around the place, and that just seems dysfunctional to me. So yeah, I think there's some great applications for it, you know, and I mean, that little TED video that I posted there, I think I might have posted it before, with the guy with his bionic legs, you know, absolutely phenomenal. You know, guy lost both his legs. He can now walk, dance, run with these bionic legs that they've fitted him with, and the way that the brain actually adapts to those inputs and those controls is absolutely phenomenal. Now, if the brain has that capacity already to adapt and control, why would you want to mess with the brain? So, yeah, I think it's I think it's a very dangerous direction to take. But you know, who am I to fight against the powers that be? We'll wait and see. I think the big problem it becomes is when it's no longer voluntary. You know, and you know, say you have to have these implants, otherwise you this or that. You know, it's a bit like COVID vaccine passports. Anyway, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory. But yes, Ed.
It was just when you were talking about that guy without the legs and, you know, the machinery to help him dance and all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking about Chris Moon, who lost his arms in a mine explosion. Surely the answer to the problem is to not blow people's legs off in the first place. So, you know, perhaps we're tackling the problem from the wrong end. And it's the same with my Alzheimer's thing, isn't it? You know, let's tackle the causes of problems rather than the symptoms of the problem. So don't blow the guy's legs off.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, that guy, I don't think he's had his legs blown off, but he did lose them for, you know, some, I think, in an accident. But yeah, these things, yeah, there's always that flip side, isn't it? But I agree with you. I mean, what is the single biggest driver of massive profits in this world in big pharma? It's addressing the symptoms, not the problems, and trying to manage symptoms rather than solve the problems. And that I agree, you know, is absolutely an approach that just simply puts money in people's pockets. It doesn't actually solve any of the problems. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, talking about other discussions, do we have a thought on a topic for tomorrow? Anyone? Trevor?
Yeah, something going through my head is my old mantra of there. Do we think about making a positive difference to society, or is what we are doing, you know, making a negative impact on society? And if that's where it all comes down to, getting people to actually think about what they're doing in terms of positive or negative impact on society, and I'm saying I don't want any rules. What rules do we need to bring in to actually just have that as a simple, a simple mantra for everyone to adopt? What I'm doing right now, is it making a positive difference or having a negative impact? What would we need to bring in to actually seed that into the world?
All right, that sounds like an interesting challenge. So
no, it's one I just want to implant in Tobisa's head, because I think he will blow me away with what he comes up with tomorrow.
No pressure, Tobisa, no pressure. All right, good. Okay, how do we switch that one around? So let's chat about that tomorrow. Otherwise, join us at 9 o'clock if you're around, UK chats, and at 3 o'clock South African time for the USA chats. But otherwise, we'll see you on the morrow. Have a good one, folks. Cheers now.